Shut up. You, as a woman, should just listen to what I say.
Just a few minutes ago, my sister's husband, who had been polite in front of me, was wearing the mask of a good-natured, friendly husband. I witnessed the moment that mask was peeled off. Both my sister and I were left speechless by the drastic change in him. He started stomping his feet loudly, and without any attempt to hide his irritation, he began to spit out his true feelings.
It's all her fault for not being able to get pregnant. I'm keeping this useless woman who can't have a child in my house without divorcing her.
These words were thrown at my sister. Pointing at my sister, he added more abusive language as if to rub salt in the wound. Despite being verbally abused, my sister didn't respond to her husband's harsh words. She was trembling, gripping her hands tightly, and enduring his anger silently. My sister had been desperately trying to conceive a child every day for the sake of her husband and his family. My sister, who had been constantly tormented by her husband and parents, was ragged, with messy hair, terrible dark circles under her eyes, and bitten-down nails. It was painfully obvious that she had fallen into a mental health crisis, barely managing to maintain the bare necessities of life. As for her husband, his words became increasingly harsh and brutal as he continued to hurl insults at her, calling her useless.
This woman's role is to have a child. I'm generous enough to provide for a failed wife who can't even do that.
Instead of showing any concern for my sister, her husband continued to insult, belittle, and scorn her. And his parents didn't even attempt to reprimand him. My dear sister was enduring this terrible environment alone, unable to ask for help. It was unbearable to see my sister in such a pitiful state. My name is Mia Parker. I'm married now and live with my husband, but until a few years ago, I lived with my sister Emma. Our parents died in a car accident when I was about to graduate high school. At that time, Emma was in the 6th grade. While our relatives sympathized with us, none of them offered any practical assistance. So I gave up going to college and got a job at a local company to support our living. From then on, Emma and I supported each other and lived desperately. I might be a doting sister too much, but Emma was my pride and joy. She was beautiful with an attractive face and a great figure that attracted people's attention. Moreover, she had a kind personality and treated everyone equally. She was popular with both sexes and was frequently asked to date. Despite this, she was humble, never neglected her efforts, and her grades were much better than mine. That's why I wanted to send Emma to college, even if I had to give up my own education. Eventually, Emma, with her hard work, won a scholarship and went to a college where she could get a nursing qualification. When she graduated and got a job at the affiliated hospital of the university she graduated from, we celebrated together modestly. At that time, Emma wrote a letter to me.
All that I am today is thanks to you, Mia. I really appreciate it. From today, I'll work hard like you, too.
I cried when I read Emma's letter. I was happy that our efforts were rewarded, but more than anything, I was happy to receive words of gratitude from Emma. After that, we were both lucky to find partners, and we both got married.
We're gonna lead separate lives from now on, but let's both be happy with our husbands, okay? Yeah, we'll definitely be happy.
Emma and I shared the smiles with those words on the eve of the day when we would finally be apart. The last time I saw my dear sister's smile was that day. After getting married, Emma moved to a distant town to live with her in-laws.
I'm worried about you, moving to a place where you don't know anyone and only have your husband to rely on. It's gonna be fine. I'll be sure to keep in touch, so don't worry, Mia.
You promise?
Let me know if anything happens, actually, even if nothing happens, okay? Yeah. You too, Mia.
Since meeting directly was quite difficult due to the distance, our communication after her marriage turned into text messages. I was busy with work and seldom had the chance to talk on the call. While I missed her voice, I held back from calling, figuring she had her own life there. Looking back, that was a mistake. I started to notice something off in Emma's text messages about a year after she started living with her in-laws. Her brightness was fading. Whenever I asked if something was troubling her, she'd brush it off, saying, "I'm totally fine." Eventually, she stopped replying to my messages altogether. The messages are marked as read but not replied to. This was decidedly strange, and when I tried calling her directly, she never picked up. So, I called Emma's in-laws' house directly.
What? Emma. She's doing great. Really? She used to reply when I sent her a text, but now she only reads them and doesn't respond. Oh, she doesn't? I see. And she's not answering my phone call, no matter how many times I call. Could she be sick and unable to answer it?
Okay, well, she's fine, really fine. I'll tell her to call you back next time, okay? Goodbye. The call abruptly ended. She hung up on me. Something was off. This was definitely not right. Emma's mother-in-law was acting strange, and if Emma was really okay, she could have connected the call to her. I discussed this with my husband. He suggested, "You should go check on her soon." So, I requested leave from my office, and the next day, I headed to Emma's in-laws' house. Emma's in-laws lived about a 4-hour drive from my house. Relying on the address from our previous texts, I went without contacting them in advance, and knocked the door.
Hello, who is it?
The voice that came through the window in the back was my familiar sister's.
Emma. It's me, Mia. Oh, Mia. You came. Wait for me.
Then I could hear footsteps coming towards me. Those footsteps were oddly heavy. She didn't need to rush like that. Despite being overwhelmed by the noise, I thought it was good that she seemed energetic. When the front door opened, I was taken aback by my sister's appearance.
Oh, Emma. Mia, it's been a while.
There stood my sister, who had definitely put on weight since before her marriage. This wasn't just a little weight gain from pregnancy if she was expecting. Moreover, Emma had dark circles under her eyes, and her hair was grown out and wild. Her previously well-manicured nails now had visible bite marks all over. I had heard she planned to work as a nurse in her new town too. She certainly didn't look like she was working as a nurse. In fact, her condition was so abnormal that it was doubtful whether she could even lead a decent life. At first glance, it was obvious she was living in an unimaginable environment, but I decided to hear Emma out first and went into her home.
My father-in-law and mother-in-law are out, and my husband is going to be late from work.
Oh, I see. I responded.
What brings you here, Mia? Any trouble? Well, you haven't been replying to my texts recently, and you don't answer my calls, so I got worried. Oh, I'm sorry. My husband holds my smartphone these days. I haven't been able to check it recently. What? Since I got married, I haven't been able to get pregnant easily. So my husband offered to keep my phone, saying it might help with the stress. What do you mean?
This was Emma's story. She'd tried various methods to conceive, but as signs of pregnancy failed to appear, she started becoming neurotic. She'd been advised by her husband and in-laws to take a break from work and rest at home. Despite trying various methods, Emma was pushed further into a mental corner when none worked. She couldn't sleep well, lost her ability to think calmly, and even started biting her nails out of irritation. She had also obsessively searched for information on how to get pregnant on her smartphone. Watching herself become increasingly unstable under the influence of the information from the internet, her concerned husband suggested she avoid using the phone for a while. Sure, smartphones are overflowing with all sorts of information. Some are questionable in their accuracy, and others are simply unnecessary to worry about. Emma's husband's opinion that it's better not to obsess over it all seems reasonable. But I notice my messages to Emma are marked as read. This means Emma's husband is aware of my messages and has deliberately chosen not to inform her. No matter how much he's concerned about Emma's health, completely shutting her off from my messages seems like a bit too much. But I was more concerned about something else.
Why on earth are you continuously eating?
Ever since she led me into the living room, Emma had been eating non-stop as she explained her situation. She kept stuffing food into her mouth, immediately grabbing the next piece of food as soon as her hands were free. Although I could see why she gained weight, I had no idea why she was eating this much.
Oh, I follow my mother-in-law's advice. What she suggested? She told me that I can't get pregnant because I'm too skinny. So I need to eat more and gain weight to get pregnant. No way!
Shocked by her reasoning, I couldn't help but yell. It was unbelievable. What kind of nonsense was being fed to my sis by her husband and in-laws? She couldn't possibly continue to live in a place like this.
Emma, don't take this the wrong way, but this place.
I was about to say it was strange when I heard Emma's in-laws returning home. They came into the living room, asking, "Why are you making such a fuss?" Upon seeing my face, their expressions turned ashen. Clearly, they had a robusted look on their faces.
What on earth is going on? You told me my sis was doing fine, didn't you? Well, she's not in poor health. Look, she's eating so heartily. She's the picture of health, isn't she?
Is she? Isn't she just overweight? Her hair is a mess, she has terrible bags under her eyes, and look at her nails, they're all brittle.
Well, that's because Emma is troubled by struggling to conceive a child. Isn't it wrong to force her into this state just to get her pregnant?
My sudden fury left Emma's in-laws in a daze.
Anyway, I'm taking my sister home with me. I can't leave her in this house for one more day. She's only going to get worse. Wait, Mia. Emma? I want a baby. I really want to have a baby with my husband. But even so, it's too much. It's my fault for not being able to get pregnant. So I want to live here, following what my in-laws say until I can get pregnant. If you continue living like this, Emma, you're going to fall sick. That's my fault too, for not being able to get pregnant. Can a woman who can't get pregnant live a normal, healthy life?
Something was off about Emma's gaze. How much nonsense had she been fed all this time? I couldn't ignore the state my sister was in, which was close to brainwashing. I tried to persuade Emma somehow. But Emma kept refusing. No matter what I said, she wouldn't listen to me, and said, "It's my fault for not being able to get pregnant." The back and forth continued, and just as I was becoming exasperated, Emma's husband came home. Upon seeing my face, Emma's husband showed a momentary panic, just like his parents.
You've been keeping Emma's phone, I hear? Why aren't you letting her know about my messages? Sorry to have worried you. I can't leave my sis in this house. I'm taking her home right now. Well, that's a problem. Even if you're her sister, we can't have you meddling in our marriage. How could I trust someone who let my sister get like this?
Despite his perfunctory apology, Emma's husband stubbornly refused to let her go, and my tone grew increasingly heated. On the other hand, Emma's husband, initially nervous against my unwavering insistence to take Emma home, seemed to grow more irritated.
Shut up. You, as a woman, just need to listen to what I say.
He suddenly raised his voice.
It's her fault for not getting pregnant, right? That's why my parents are worried about her and telling her to eat. Who can get pregnant that way? What's with you? If she still has a great figure, she'll go out and...
Seeing Emma's husband's alarmed expression, I did not let it slip.
Go out and then what? She flirts with men other than me. So if she gets fat and unattractive, no other men would look at her, right? So, you're the one who made Emma put on weight? Yeah, that's right.
Emma's husband's true feelings began to spill out one after another in a reckless confession. It seems that Emma's husband was afraid that Emma, who continued to be popular even after marriage, would leave him if things continued as they were. So he had her quit her job under the pretense that she couldn't get pregnant, made her gain weight, and even took away her means of communication, her phone. To achieve this, his parents lied to Emma, saying, "It's for your own good," and cooperated with him. I was speechless as her husband selfishly revealed his reasons. Just then, his cell phone rang, shattering the silence.
What the hell? Not now.
Visibly annoyed, Emma's husband answered the call on impulse. He accidentally pressed the speakerphone button. The phone echoed loudly with a woman's sweet voice.
Hey, you're off work, right? I'm waiting for you at our usual place, hurry up. What? Oh.
In the split second Emma's husband was flustered, I snatched the phone.
Hello? Do you need something with my husband?
Upon hearing my words, imitating Emma, the woman's tone changed.
Huh? Oh, you're his wife? Nice to meet you. Your husband's always so good to me.
Her brazen voice provoked a response.
We are kind of busy right now. Could you call back later? What? You're his barren wife acting so high and mighty.
I didn't say anything, and she continued.
I'm pregnant with your husband's child, unlike you.
A victorious tone echoed from the phone. Upon hearing this, Emma, who had initially been dumbfounded, had a sudden realization. Emma, let me explain, her husband said.
So you've been cheating on me, even going as far as to have a child. You're misunderstanding, this must be a mistake. You act concerned in front of me, but betray me behind my back.
Emma's eyes hardened. Taking a deep breath, she declared, "Thank you for everything. I'm leaving this house immediately. Be prepared to distribute property with me." Facing her husband's excuses and her in-laws' dumbfounded silence, Emma pointed at them and declared boldly. Emma, who had left her in-laws' house with me, immediately sought advice from a lawyer who was an acquaintance of my husband. She told the lawyer everything that had happened, and although it took some time, the divorce was finalized a year later. Of course, Emma asked her ex-husband and his mistress to pay for their sin appropriately. Here's a little postscript. The ex-husband, who wanted a child, tried to remarry his pregnant mistress. However, there was a miscalculation. The child the mistress gave birth to wasn't his. Apparently, the mistress was cheating with another man, and the real father was that other man. Emma's ex-husband was desperate to claim that the child was indeed his, but ironically, it turned out he was infertile. So it wasn't Emma's fault that she couldn't get pregnant, but the ex-husband's. The news of the ex-husband and his parents ganging up and pressuring Emma, causing her to have a nervous breakdown. Moreover, the fact that the ex-husband himself was sterile. These facts spread quickly among the neighbors and his workplace soon after the divorce was finalized. Unable to stand the harsh gossip, the ex-husband left his parents and moved to a distant town. Emma, who learned that her inability to get pregnant was due to her ex-husband, was livid. However, that anger seemed to fuel her. She started dieting with an energy as if her previous state was a lie and gradually regained her old figure. Not only her figure, but her natural cheerfulness and kindness returned, and now she's happily living with her new boyfriend.